The amateur's ego demands an immediate counterattack the second they are challenged. They must prove they are right, they must fight back, and they must show strength. This impulsive aggression is exactly what the enemy expects, and it is how you walk directly into their trap. When someone critiques your work, slights your character, or challenges your authority, a primitive alarm sounds within your mind. The ego misinterprets an insult as a matter of life and death. It demands a spectacle. It forces you to raise your voice, to tighten your posture, and to hurl an immediate retaliation. You believe, in that fleeting moment of rage, that you are projecting power. You believe that by meeting force with force, you are proving your worth to the room and to your opponent. But the truth is far colder. In the grand theatre of strategy, emotional reactivity is not strength, it is a leash. The moment an enemy discovers what angers you, they become your master. They can pull that leash whenever they require a distraction. They can insult you to draw you out of a defensive position, mock your methods to make you abandon a careful plan, or challenge your pride to force you into an expensive, exhausting conflict. The amateur fights for the immediate feeling of dominance. They want to win the argument today, completely blind to the fact that they are losing the war tomorrow. They expend their valuable emotional currency, empty their tactical reserves, and expose their true intentions, all for a momentary rush of validation. They enter the arena exactly when and where the opponent desires. They fight on the enemy's terms, under the enemy's terms, and they walk open-eyed into the slaughterhouse. True mastery requires a radical detachment from the self. It demands that you suppress the fragile, loud voice of the ego in favor of long-term tactical supremacy. This is where the profound power of Law 22 reveals itself. Law 22 teaches the absolute supremacy of the surrender tactic. When faced with an overwhelmingly arrogant, aggressive, or loud opponent, do not fight, do not defend your honor, do not try to prove your intelligence or your capability. Instead, you surrender, you agree with their critiques, you nod at their accusations, you give them the hollow, immediate satisfaction of absolute dominance. To the untrained eye, surrender looks like cowardice. It looks like weakness, a total capitulation of the will. Your peers may look at you with pity, and your opponent will certainly look at you with supreme contempt. Let them. Your pride is a cheap price to pay for absolute control over the situation. When you yield superficially, you are executing a brilliant maneuver of psychological warfare. You are completely depriving the enemy of the one thing their aggression requires to survive: friction. Aggression is an energy that feeds on resistance. It is a flame that requires oxygen to burn. When an arrogant opponent launches an attack, they are fully prepared for a fight. They have built up their arguments, they have sharpened their weapons, and they are riding a wave of adrenaline. They expect you to push back, because your resistance validates their anger and gives them a reason to strike harder. But when you refuse to provide that resistance, their momentum collapses into a void. When you bow, when you apologize, when you softly agree that they are entirely correct, you leave them swinging at thin air. They overextend, they lose their balance. By surrendering on the surface, you perform a profound trick on the opponent's psychology. Their intense paranoia drops to absolute zero. Arrogant and aggressive people are deeply insecure at their core. They are constantly watching the horizon for threats, always waiting for someone to challenge their crown. When you submit to them, their internal alarms fall silent. They look down at you and believe they have completely broken your spirit. They believe the conflict is over, and that they have emerged as the absolute victor. This is the exact moment they enter a state of supreme complacency. Their guard lowers. They stop analyzing your moves because they no longer view you as a threat. They begin to speak too freely, exposing their vulnerabilities, their weaknesses, and their ultimate plans. While they celebrate a completely meaningless, superficial victory, you remain entirely intact. You have not lost a single ounce of your actual power, your resources, or your intelligence. You have simply hidden them behind a mask of compliance. While the aggressive opponent wastes their energy boasting and basking in the false light of their dominance, you are silently, patiently, gathering the leverage required to execute your counter-strategy when they least expect it. You are observing them from the shadows of their own arrogance. You are mapping their flaws, calculating their blind spots, and waiting for the inevitable moment when their overconfidence causes them to make a fatal mistake. You have transformed your apparent weakness into an invisible, devastating weapon. Think of the profound peace that comes with this strategy. You no longer have to carry the exhausting weight of defensiveness. You do not need to participate in the loud, frantic arguments that drain the energy of ordinary men. When someone attacks you, you do not feel the need to correct them. You do not feel the need to show them your teeth. You simply smile, you yield, and you watch them walk deeper into the trap you have laid for them. You realize that their insults cannot touch your true worth, and their arrogance is merely a tool you can use to dismantle them. This is the ancient strategy of the water and the rock. The rock is rigid, hard, and unyielding. It stands defiantly against the rushing river, mocking the water's softness. But over time, the water does not fight the rock. It shapes itself around the obstacle. It yields, it flows, and it gently conforms to the rock's shape. Yet through this persistent, soft yielding, the water slowly but surely grinds the rigid rock down into harmless sand. The water wins not by breaking the obstacle, but by outlasting it. When you adopt the surrender tactic, you become like the water. You let the storm of human arrogance pass right over you. You do not meet their anger with anger, nor their malice with malice. You absorb their force, you redirect their energy, and you preserve your inner sanctuary completely undisturbed. You understand that the loudest person in the room is often the most fragile, and the most aggressive player is the easiest to manipulate. As you move through the world, remember the absolute supremacy of the hidden hand. True power is quiet. It is calculating. It operates in the blank spaces between the lines, entirely invisible to those who are blinded by their own vanity. Let the amateurs have their loud arguments and their hollow trophies. Let them believe they are winning. Your eyes are fixed on the end game. You are playing a much longer, much deeper game. Breathe in the clarity of this mindset. Feel the heavy armor of pride melting away from your chest. You do not have to prove anything to anyone tonight. The day's conflicts are over, and the voices of your opponents have faded into the distance. They are trapped in their own endless cycles of reaction and rage, while you have stepped completely outside of the arena. You are free, you are whole, and you are entirely in control. Let your mind settle into the deep, unshakable stillness of a master strategist. The world will continue to turn, the arrogant will continue to boast, and the amateurs will continue to fall into the traps of their own making. But you are anchored in a profound internal peace. You know who you are, you know your strength, and you know that the ultimate victory belongs to the one who can control their own soul. Surrender the frustrations of the day. Release the need to fight, the need to answer, and the need to rectify the misunderstandings of others. Trust in the quiet power of patience. Trust in the absolute supremacy of the silent, waiting mind. The dark night is here to shield your thoughts and restore your spirit. Your work for the day is entirely done. Let go of the tension, let go of the world, and sleep.